Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Siyathobo Zantizwane and I'm a life and relationship coach and I speak on anything that relates to life, relationships, and faith. So today we're going to be speaking about a very interesting topic titled Civil Marriage Contracts and Real Estate. And it's going to be like a part two from like the previous video that we had last week. And we have back the same guest, Mr. Solly Boshoff, who is the founder of Solly Boshoff Attorneys. And yeah, I hope you find this very informative and don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. So guys, like I said, we're back again with Mr. Solly Boshoff. And he's going to be talking to us about marriage, civil marriage contracts, as well as real estate buying and selling. But before we can start the video, I'd like him to kindly introduce himself again for the second time.
Yes. Yes, Solly Boshoff, the founder of Solly Boshoff Attorneys in Newcastle. I am also a property practitioner. So today we'll be looking at the topic of civil marriage contracts and how does that affect you buying or selling a property.
So, Mr. Boshoff, how does your marriage contract affect the buying and selling of a property?
Yes. So like we've previously we looked at the different types of marriage contract.
Yeah.
So to explain that, I'll use the examples of each marriage contract.
Okay.
So for example, if you are married in terms of property and you decide to buy a property, how does that affect you and your spouse?
Yeah.
When you sign, both of you have to sign, whether it's from the application of the loan or the actual deed of sale and the transfer papers.
Okay.
So everything happens combined. Both of you have to apply for the loan, and in so doing, there's also the negative part of it.
Yeah.
So if one of the spouse is overspending or the financial are not looking good, so that might affect you, the two of you, your credit score.
Yeah.
So you might end up not getting a loan
to actually buy the house.
Yes, that could be. And I think another nice thing, which sometimes as a couple we like to be romantic. I think you mentioned in our previous video that sometimes you like to surprise your spouse.
Yeah.
But because of that procedure, you cannot do so because they have to be part of those papers.
Yeah, you can't surprise your spouse with the house.
Yeah, unfortunately, if you are married in terms of property, that's it's kind of a tough one.
Yeah.
But if you are married out of terms of property, so okay, in that case, whoever wants to buy can buy. You can surprise your spouse in that case.
Yeah.
And also, you don't necessarily need the consent of the other party, or they don't have to sign. But even though you are married out of chemical property, and if you want to buy a property jointly, you can still do so.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Even though it's a prenuptial agreement or the other options.
Yeah. It's just then you have to then specify in terms of the division of the joint estate. Going forward.
All right.
But you can.
So does the same principle also apply when you're selling a property now, not buying?
Yeah, the same, again, depending on your marital regime. If you are married in commercial property and you decide to sell the property, so obviously both of you have to dispose of it by way of a signature. The deed of sale must be signed by both. Yeah. Into the new buyers. And if you're married out of commons of property, again, whoever is the owner, as per the title deed, only that person needs to sign. Yeah. The other spouse doesn't need to sign. Yeah. But again, it's a marriage. That doesn't necessarily mean that you can just sell a house and then
without the knowledge of your
spouse. Exactly. So we don't want to see a sheriff coming to evict because some people use that. If there's like a quarrel in the family and the one spouse decides to sell. I think
is that like, can they do that? Like, is it legally, can they do that? Like if you guys are married out of community of property and the property, let's say for example, is in my name, and me and my spouse are not divorced, but we had like a
Mm.
fight, or I'm gonna be in the process of divorcing that person,
Yeah.
and I decide to sell the property without their knowledge.
Yeah.
Like, what happens? Like, is that allowed?
There's no law that says it, because basically by law that is your property.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So, but I mean, by principle,
Yeah.
being married,
Yeah.
it's a common practice that you
Mm.
have to inform your spouse that you're
Yeah.
selling. Because again, if you are married out of community of property, you need to consider because we have the two, which is with the accrual and without the accrual.
Yeah.
So if it's with the accrual and this property was bought after you're married, it means the property
It's
belongs
ours.
to both.
Okay.
So you see, in
Yeah.
that case, definitely you have to, the other spouse needs to know about that.
But if it's a prenup, not that I'm not planning to do this, by the way, to my future husband, no. But I'm just like out of curiosity, like for example, I'm married out of community of property, not with the, like, it's just a prenuptial agreement, and the house is in my name, and we have a fight, and I'm gonna be fighting for divorce. They won't have any legal claim over the house, even though we stayed together for maybe 20 years, and I want to divorce, and no, I wanna sell the house away without their knowledge. There's not they won't have any ground to kind of stand on.
It's not. You may. I mean, almost every time in civil law, someone makes up a claim.
Yeah.
And sometimes court find.
Yeah.
Your claim being valid.
Yeah.
But the basis of that marriage is your contract,
Mm-hmm.
which is the primary backbone of it, unfortunately.
So, what are the important things you'd say a couple will need to consider before buying a property?
Okay, so number one, obviously, you never have money.
That's a given.
You cannot buy that property. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Depending obviously on, I would really advise if it's a couple that consider taking a loan to do a pre-approval.
Okay.
Because that would give them an indication of how much the bank can give them.
Yeah.
And then when they start searching for property, they know what's their budget.
Yeah.
And that also it reduces the time period where you find a property, you go and apply for a loan, and you find the bank can't give you that amount.
Yeah.
So a pre-approval, number one.
Yeah.
And then if you are buying cash, obviously there's no need to worry about that, because you know what your bank account looks like.
Yeah.
Yes. And then number two, especially this is the big one to the first-time buyers, where they're not sure of. So they think the price of the house, what the loan gives them, covers everything. But there's also the attorney's fees, the conveyancing fees, and also the attorneys who do the registration and of the bond.
Okay.
Yes. So those are separate
if
fees.
you're getting a bond.
If you are getting a bond.
Yeah.
Yes. And if you are buying cash, the transfer costs are still there.
Yeah.
Because and a conveyancer needs to do the transfer process.
Yeah. So all those costs are costs before the actual price of the property. So you pay that before you pay for the actual house.
Yeah, you can. If you are buying a loan, obviously once the bank gives you the guarantee, the bank covers it.
Yeah.
But if it's cash, then you need to work it. Normally, before the process starts, the attorneys will give you a pro forma invoice of how much will the cost be separately. Yeah. So
the transfer cost.
Of the transfer cost.
Okay.
So you can pay that in advance if you have that money.
Yeah.
Or during the transfer period. Within that time.
Okay.
To the attorneys, because those are the attorneys' fees, and in that they also do if the transfer duty is applicable, then they do all of the rates clearance and all.
Yeah.
Yes. And then another important thing to consider is the area in which you're buying at. It's a big one. Depending again whether you are buying for family to stay there. If you are doing so, looking at your age too, is there a possibility of you relocating in future?
Okay.
And that's where the area plays a vital role, because if you decide maybe 15 years later we may relocate, then you need to buy at the area that is good in terms of value, where the property value grows faster.
And so I'm thinking so that it will be better, it will be easier to sell it again.
That's
if you
correct.
decide to move. Okay.
Yes. So that it's a big factor, because you find maybe in that area you hear maybe they might be building RDP houses in that area.
Yeah.
And therefore, if you buy a house close by, the value of yours drops.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So doing that investigation is also important.
Yeah.
Yes. And then above all, we know our municipalities are there waiting for rates and taxes. So that's another one you need to consider.
Yeah.
Find out what are the rates in that area.
Yeah.
And obviously the rates almost every year they go up.
Yeah.
But just what it is at that time in that area.
Mm.
And if you are buying in a complex like a townhouse or flat, so there's also levies that are payable. So you also look at all of that. Yes.
So basically, do your research.
Do your research, and yeah, depending, like I said, if you're buying for yourself or is it for investment, and if it's for investment and you wanna have tenants at your property, you are looking at an area where you're most likely to get, and depending on your specific tenants that you are targeting, if it's doctors, then it's gonna be closer to a hospital or something like that.
If it's students, it must be closer to a place where students go, university, things like that.
Yes, because you don't want to buy a house and then for investment purposes and then you end up not achieving what you want.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I think that's good advice.
Yeah.
So, guys, I hope that was informative, and I hope that you guys learned a thing or two about buying and selling a property in connection with the different marriage contracts that are there. And yeah, thank you so much for tuning in, and please give us your details again. Where can we get a hold of you?
Yeah.
Your social media handles, your phone number, your address, maybe if you guys do walk-ins or if appointment only.
Okay, if you're in the Newcastle area, our offices are at number 7 Gemsbok Avenue, that's in Harton Heights.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can contact us telephonically on the following number: 079 788 378. And that's in relation to both the real estate work and the legal work.
Okay.
And if your question or whatever you wanting to sell it to buy and you want to contact us by an email, so the email address is solly@primeauctions.co.za. And if it's something specifically related to legal, then it's solly@boshofattorneys.co.za. We are also available on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay, thank you so much. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bells. And we'd also like to read your comments. So thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.